Hi everyone, welcome back to Tinker and Toil. I'm Justin Johnston. Finn Johnston is behind the camera. And we're going to be working today on this Subaru EA190V power washer. We went on the local Buy Nothing group and asked for people that had something that didn't work, something with a motor that we could tinker with. And somebody reached out back to us and said that they had this power washer that was broken. And they let us know that the deal is, it's our power washer. If we get it running, they want to be able to use it. And they live like 5 minutes away, so it won't be a problem at all to let them use the power washer. I don't intend to hold on to it forever, but we'll get it working and go from there. First up, we're going to check the oil. Then we will check compression, and we'll check for spark. And we'll check to make sure it's getting fuel. If it's getting all three of those, it should work. First thing I want to do is just check the oil, make sure it's got some. I assume this, it has a little oil thing here. Not sure if this is going to have a dipstick or what this will have. Oh yeah, a little dipstick. And it looks like it's on the full. So it should be good at oil wise. It has gas. I don't know how clean that gas is. It smells okay. No idea how long that gas has been in there. We're going to assume it's okay for now. Over here, we'll have some sort of, it looks like this is the choke. And this, it looks like some sort of fuel, it looks like some sort of fuel shutoff right there. I mean, typically being perpendicular is the off. I'm wondering if the only problem is they had the fuel shut off. And then there's this, there's an on switch here. So we've got choke, fuel, and what I think is the on switch. Let's go ahead and we'll turn the fuel on. And then we'll turn the choke on. I think that is off, and I think this is on. Never can tell. Let's see what happens. Oh, it at least turns over. But it definitely seems like it doesn't even want to spark at all. There's like not even like trying. So I'm thinking, I don't know, my thought is that it's probably a spark issue. Let's go ahead. I went on to Amazon. I bought one of these spark testers. Nothing, not a special spark tester by any means. I think this one was like 12 bucks. I don't want to come off there. I can't get real good leverage on it under there without risking a finger. Bring in here close and shut off the overhead light. Definitely spark. So, I guess the next thing we'll check is compression. All right, so this is my compression tester. I also bought this on Amazon. I got one of the ones, the MIDI-vac. This one had really good ratings, and you know, this was not the cheapest one on Amazon. I think I paid, maybe it was I want to say like 75, maybe 80 bucks, somewhere in that range. You know, there's super cheap ones. They all, the ratings or the reviews on Amazon said that the hoses were kind of flimsy, poor quality. Sounds like they did the job. I'm curious your thoughts if you guys have tried any of these compression testers. If you got the cheap one, if you think it worked great, I'd like to know your thoughts. But I got one that was Not the cheapest, also not the most expensive. I tend to like going for the stuff that's in the middle of the value curve. All right, well, I'm gonna try and figure out which one of these is the best fit for my cylinder, and we'll check out the compression. All right, let's check that compression. And we have about 50, just over 50. Could be better, but it has compression. All right, so I'm thinking it's bad gas. So similar to that beast over there, I think that this one probably sat for a long time and it's probably got bad gas in the carburetor, so it probably needs a carb clean. So it's, I think the carburetor looks like it's right here. What's this on the side? Not sure what this is. Let's see. Is that just a screw to open it? Oh, okay, yeah, it's just opening up the air filter. You could probably try to just jump it by putting good gas or like spraying some starter fluid in the air filter, but I'm gonna take this apart because it's not been run a long time. Even if it is just bad gas, it probably needs a cleaning in the carb. So we're gonna pull it apart and give it a clean. The 10 millimeter. See, like it's always a 10 millimeter. Probably need to make sure I have extra 10 millimeters, since these are always going to be missing. This is my new Milwaukee ratchet. And what else we got? Air hose here. All right. Just fell. Some little inserts here. One of them fell out. I just like to look before I go pulling it all apart so that I can see how it was together originally. Okay, so I don't see anything real specific other than a little hose here holding anything on. So I had to clamp this and slide it down. So you squeeze there and slide it off. And then gotta grab that with something. I hope it doesn't break. It's looking a little bit cracked right there. Ah, there you go. I think we got lucky. All right. I don't think there's anything, you know, there's these two posts right here and it just slides off. I have to pop those linkages out. We're gonna have to turn it somehow. And the only way to turn it is once I get it all the way off. So let's pull it all the way out. There we go. There we go. All right. There is our nasty carb. At least on the outside, it's very nasty. So I'm going to take this and just first give it a spray with some WD-40. or carb cleaner, either way. All right, I'm going to be using some of the gum out carb cleaner. This is jet spray, but I'm going to use it just to do a quick rinse of that. I'm just trying to get the outside clean before I start taking it apart, because if I have the outside all gunky, then when I do take it apart, all that gunk will have a chance to get inside. So we're going to start by dropping that off. Ooh, that's pretty gross. Doesn't get much dirtier than that. I'm not sure. I mean, I guess it does get dirtier, but there's all sorts of gook in there. And the float, I mean, it's got some stuff stuck to the side of it. You can kind of see right there, that black goo. There's the pin. This right here, looking pretty nasty. All up there. I'm gonna slide this out. All right, there's the pin. I'm just gonna give this a spray. It all looks so good. I'm just gonna squirt it and set it aside. All right. That just looks so gross. Okay, well. Okay. All right. Now, I got this crack right there. I'm hoping it's okay. Not much I can do about it at this point. I don't have a thing to connect it, but let's see. We do need to get these linkages back on here. The gaskets are still on good enough. I don't know if that will be the case. If there's air leakage, well, we'll probably have troubles. But we're gonna just hope that we did it. There's enough gasket material on there. Connect this back on there. Put this on. All right. Now, even though it's cracked, we're going to try and put this back on. I'm just going to try and clean it off a little bit here. This goes on like this. Nope. This goes on like this. There we go. It looks like there used to be a little peg or something for that to sort of line up, and that seems to be missing. This carb has seen better days. Okay, now we put this back on. This maybe goes like this. That makes more sense. Okay. Okay. All right, so even though it's cold outside, I went ahead and added a little bit of fresh gas to it. I opened up the door here just in case it actually does start. I don't know if we'll get that lucky. Get into that. All right, let's try that. And we'll just spray a little of that. Let's see if we can get something going. So starter fluid gets it to run for a second. The question is, how do we make it stay running? Give it another shot. It almost looks like the gas, like it first runs for a second and then that gas is shutting itself off. We're getting closer. As it's running, I'm seeing this, the throttle, kind of do this. It starts off and then it cuts itself. And I think it's trying to go wide open, but there's no fuel getting to it. I mean, I guess if I just took that hose off now, I should see if fuel runs out of it. All right, so since I think this hose might be bad, and since we also know that there's a cutoff, a fuel cutoff, I'm curious if I take this off, if any fuel actually comes out of there. Oh, that comes right off. Might be also the problem is that might be that gasket is gone. All right. And here's the moment of truth. We'll see if this fills. Okay, there is gas coming out. Might just be really bad gas, but it doesn't look bad. All right. Yeah, it does not look bad. Just looks like regular gas. All right, well, let's see if this helped. So all I did this round, I tested the air with that fuel. I tested that fuel is coming into the I'm worried now that what's happening is that because of that gasket, I think because those gaskets are bad, it's getting air into the carb and not letting it suck gas. So I'm gonna have to see if I can find some new gaskets. It's been about 3 days since I worked on the Subaru pressure washer, and I got it to run, or at least start. I wouldn't say it ran. And it kept cutting out. I think the problem is the gaskets on the carb that are on there, and I was worried about that when I was trying to clean it. The gaskets were breaking and chipped in a few spots. So I think that those gaskets are shot. I went on Amazon searching for new gaskets. I figured there's probably a carb kit or something out there that I could find. It's, you know, maybe 10, 15 bucks. And then I could get them back on, replace the ones that are on there, and get it running again. But as I got on Amazon, I actually found not just a carb kit, an entire carburetor for 12 bucks. And I was doubtful it was actually going to come, but look at this. My $12 carburetor. I think it was like $12 and after tax. It was like 13 something. Shipped to my door. I didn't even have to go to the store to get it. Let's see. I hope it's the right thing. I mean, obviously, you're buying on Amazon. You have no real way of confirming it's right or wrong. Looks pretty good. So this is plastic. That's different. And this is spring-loaded. That's one difference. Which I don't know if I think the spring might mess with it. And other than that, there's a little dimple in the bottom here. Other than that, this thing looks almost exactly like the one that's on it. And this is something that it doesn't have currently, which maybe is why it got so gummed up to begin with. There's no fuel filter on the current setup. I'm not sure if I could probably use some of the old hose. The old hose is not in the greatest shape, but I can probably cut a little bit and be able to squeeze this in there. Comes with a hose. So this might be beneficial, and a little extra new hose on there. So I can replace. There's like two of them between the shutoff, the fuel shutoff. And there's one of the gaskets. Two of the gaskets. I'm not sure if there's supposed to be a third. I feel like there's maybe a third. Let's see. There is a gasket in here, which is almost like two. There's like one on each side of it right there, and then there's one right between the air box up there. So I think, you know, the one on the motor is still good. And then, so I think the two gaskets actually should work just fine. We'll pull that carb off in a second, and we'll compare them. I think, I think I'm gonna get rid of the spring on this, because I think what it'll do is every time I try to turn on the choke, the spring will turn off the choke. So I'll probably figure out how to take that off, and then we'll get to replacing this. Okay, so there is a little hook of this wire here, and if you just pull that off, it disconnects. And I don't know if it matters if I take that little wire off. I think it's gonna be just fine to leave it right on there. So you just kind of unhook it, and now this is free, which I think will work just fine. All right, so I already took off the little nuts, the 10mm nuts. We're going to turn off the fuel, and I'm going to grab this, squeeze it, and wiggle it. Okay, and we're going to slide this off and then rotate to pop the linkages off. So I think for this gasket, I'm just going to leave that one in place. I'm going to call it good. I'm just going to take this, and we are going to put the linkages on here. All right. And get that plugged in there. All right. Let's see, so this has, no, it's loose, so maybe I do want that. It just seems to be sliding. This one has more of a click that it was, yeah, this one has more of a click. So this will not have the nice satisfying click, but it does seem to open and close. I'm a little concerned that the engine vibration might pull it open. Well, we'll see. Okay. And we're going to go ahead, put our gasket on. It's a little bit tight on these threads. But everything else seems to line up okay. You can see on this was the gasket that came off. You see this one was broken in here. we'll get the garage door open and let's see if this starts now. Okay, let's give this a shot. First we'll turn on the choke. Go ahead and give it a squirt of starter fluid. Just to kind of give it a boost. Same thing, but we get the, maybe it's because the choke was on. Turn the choke off. Another shot. That was much better. Okay, now I have water hooked up to it. Water is on. Seems like it wants to run. Well, there you have it, YouTube. It's working. The 13, well, 12, 13, I don't know, with tax, shipping, 13 bucks. The carb worked. The cheap carb. It did the job. So I would have, if I had known I could get an entire new carburetor for 12 bucks, I wouldn't have gone to the effort of cleaning it. I spent probably $3 on cleaner. But there you have it. It runs, and we'll have to run it, I think, a little bit more. It's bogging down when I hit the sprayer, but it does run. It runs. It seems to be running pretty good, except for when I hit the sprayer and it makes it bog down. But I'm betting if I just run it a little bit longer, since it just hasn't ran in, this is the first time it's ran in a couple of years by the sounds of it. I think if I just run it a few more times, it'll probably work itself out. So it's up and running again. So I messed with my pressure washer about a week ago, and I got the motor running. It was a little iffy. One of the things I had to do was reconnect that spring on the carburetor because it was making it so the vibrations of the motor would constantly turn the choke back on, and then the engine would cut. So once I got it started, I had to reconnect that spring. Now, the problem with that is next time I go to start it, it's gonna I'll have to like hold the carburetor hold the choke open with one hand while I start it with the other. Not the best, but it does work. Once I get it started, it starts easy, so it's fine. I'll go with it. It's fixed enough. The other problem I had is that the pressure wasn't pressurizing, and I had to do some research to figure out what was going on. I'll show you here in just a second. So the pressure washer itself, the handle, has this odd tip, and I thought that you would just twist it by hand and it would be fine, but actually if you twist it like this, it actually stays on whatever thing is there. You have to hold this piece and then twist this end, and then it has different nozzle tips. One you can see is rinse. So these, and I think that big one on the left, I think that one makes it so it's just basically hose pressure coming out the end. It's not high pressure, whereas any of the other nozzles will make it normal high pressure coming out the end and be pressure washing. So that seems to have done the trick. I switched it to a higher pressure nozzle tip, and the pressure seems to be built and it's washing. I'll show you here a second. We'll go start it up. Have that off because I had to use starter fluid to start it first. See, that's high pressure versus here is regular, what I was experiencing last time. Not high pressure, it's like hose pressure. I think that actually pulls maybe from the soap somehow. You can change the pressure if you hold the nozzle. Alright, so it does seem to be no high pressure, a pressurized. Hard to tell how clean it's getting, but it's definitely high pressure. I don't know if I can cut through wood with it or not. Oh yeah, look at that. Shines that concrete right up right there. Maybe the dirtiest spot right up here in this corner right there. Right, use this as an edger. Go. All right, so I've run the machine through the full tank of gas. It wasn't starting unless I actually sprayed a little bit of starter fluid into the intake. So
instead, I decided I'd run it full tank of gas. I figured it might be bad gas, or a little bit bad. It was good enough to run, not good enough to start. That was what I thought. Went ahead and ran the whole thing, ran all the gas out of it. And I'm a little curious because if you recall when I did the pressure test, it had pressure, but it was like 60 or maybe 50. It was pretty low. I'm gonna check the pressure again and see if after having run it, if the pressure is any different. Let's find out. So I just checked it and it looks like it's maybe slightly better. Really, it's still about the same, 60. It's kind of low. I'm surprised. Is what it is. There you have it, everybody. So a free pressure washer and a very cheap carburetor did the trick. And running out all the bad gas. I think it needed to have that done to really gonna get it running right. But it does the job. I cleaned my driveway, at least parts of it, and washed the salt off my truck today. So it's doing the job. And now I guess I'll loan it back to the people that gave it to me. They only live 5 minutes or so from my house. So happy to let them borrow it and see what we can find for the next project. I think my son actually already has a connection to this tree in our backyard. And unfortunately it had curling roots and we had to have it cut down. So I guess my son really wants to do something like make a picture frame out of some of the wood. And I know that requires, for one, cutting wood in to make nice boards, but also getting it dried. And I'm not sure the best way to do that. What I might do is just dry it in my garage, but I first need to figure out how to cut it into nice straight boards. So maybe that'll be our next trip. Catch you on the next one.